Together with a broad network of partners, we launched the UREHERIT Architects for Heritage in Ukraine, a project co-funded by the European Union under a dedicated call for proposals to support Ukrainian displaced people and the Ukrainian cultural and creative sectors. Within this project, European and Ukrainian heritage professionals, architects, designers, engineers, local authorities, and community representatives from Ukrainian cities come together to share knowledge and hands-on experience in protecting and restoring Ukraine's cultural heritage. Through this podcast series, we want to bring forward the voices behind the project. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has caused widespread physical damage to built heritage. Many sites have also lost their role as centers of community life, and at the same time, the war has increased pressure on institutions, funding systems, and the legal framework. To address these challenges, one of the working groups within the UREHERIT project focused on a participatory format that combines the therapeutic effects of collective care for meaningful heritage with a practical contribution to restoration. We asked Raluca Munteanu of Patrimonio Foundation about the goals of applying this approach.
The main aim was to work with the Ukrainian partner about intervention on heritage, built heritage. How to do in crisis situation, but not only in the crisis situation, after the war, of course, activities, understanding and value the built heritage. We had a long experience in Romania working with volunteers on heritage and make emergency intervention in order to conserve the heritage in waiting to obtain the funds or to find programs to reuse the buildings. And with our experience, we wanted to make this exchange of knowledge and expertise with Ukraine. And this experience we had together, it was also to help to write a methodology how they can improve the legal system and also the practical educational system in Ukraine to expand the area and the people involved in heritage conservation.
The Romanian Order of Architects, a consortium partner of the UREHERIT project, shared the experience they have gained in Romania in engaging NGOs, the academic community, private organizations and local communities in safeguarding heritage. We asked the president of this institution, Ștefan Bâlici, to speak about their methodologies and how they could be applied in Ukraine.
We have several models that are being used all over Romania by different organizations, especially NGOs. Maybe the most famous of them is the Ambulance for Monuments. This is a program initiated by an NGO, which is called the Monumentum Association. So it's a very carefully designed model that has worked perfectly because it engages the local community first to reassess the values that they have as built heritage in their places where they live, and then to actively get involved in safeguarding this heritage. But moreover, as I said, this model also involves local authorities that do not only act as, administration, providing the necessary permits, but they also get involved providing funding. A certain share, the overall funding for each project is covered by the local authorities. All these actions developed by the ambulance involve a large number of volunteers, and usually these are students in various disciplines, not just architecture, but many of them, probably the majority, are architecture students, and they get the invaluable contact with local crafts, firstly with the architecture itself, hands-on. This is a fantastic experience that in Romania, architecture schools do not provide except for very, very briefly. So this is a fantastic experience, but then they get in contact with local knowledge, local craftsmanship, but also local society, economy, the real life in various parts of the country. There we have other models developed by NGOs like Studio Govora. When we speak of contested heritage, you need long-term presence on site in order to create the necessary change in perception, understanding, acceptance, and in the end to create involvement and appropriation, reappropriation by the community of its own values. And in order to have long-term presence on site, you need a different model of funding. And luckily, we have in Romania some extraordinary tools for this kind of funding, and these are what are called para-fiscal taxes. So it's a system of taxes established by the state through the law that enable funding of specific areas of the creative industries, including heritage and architecture. This is a tool that is, as I said, created by law, and it is a model that can be imported and applied in Ukraine.
When it comes to the legal framework, is Ukrainian legislation currently adapted to apply the proposed methodologies?
When we speak of legal frameworks, what we have here is the possibility to perform direct actions, conservation works on historic monuments, so that is on legally protected cultural heritage, with the participation of volunteers and by the NGOs. And this is, again, very valuable. It's something that we learned that is different in the legal frameworks of our countries. In Ukraine, working directly on a legally protected part of cultural heritage is restricted to professionals, accredited professionals and companies. But here in Romania, we do, of course, involve accredited professionals in the whole process, meaning the design, the permitting process, and the implementation process. But these works can be done with the participation of volunteers, and that is very valuable, because unless we have this possibility by law, we couldn't actually get involved all the types of communities, local community, professional community, and all sorts of other communities that are participating to this.
What other challenges do practitioners working in the field of heritage face in Ukraine? We asked this question to Hanna Havryliv. She is the CEO of Rozdil Palace, where a joint event with Romanian colleagues took place.
First of all, the lack of financing. We have, because due to war, due to COVID before that, due to reform of decentralization, a lot of heritage sites became municipally owned by small communities. Small communities have small budgets. And certainly if health, education and roads are first priorities, then cultural heritage is always seen as a cultural last priority. So we feel the lack of local budgets. We also feel the lack of state budgets. However, we see that in the last 2 years, Europe and other countries started to be very loyal to Ukraine in matters of cultural heritage preservation. And we have many foreign grants and donors and other programs, non-budget programs, which help Ukraine. Another challenge we have is the cultural heritage legislation. Very long in the matters of time, very expensive in matters of money, very difficult in terms of getting permits. The processes of work with listed heritage. At the same moment, the same heritage, which is just unlisted, but the same criteria, the same type of buildings, the same architectural value, the same historical value, the same technical condition. But listed and unlisted heritage is plus 2 years, plus 10 to the budget, and so on. And so, to be honest, nowadays in Ukrainian cultural heritage legislation, it's more useful to be unlisted than listed.
So, what practical advice can be given to increase public engagement in heritage restoration in Ukraine?
Practical recommendation was to expand these summer schools or practical activities with volunteers, special students, not only architect students, but other specialties like engineers, sociologists, art students, where that can combine the educational part with heritage conservation part, that it's very important. But also included in the law, accepted in the law, that emergency intervention and documentation research can be done also with less experts, let's say, volunteer young people, and also NGOs, specialized or NGOs in the field.
Have you had the opportunity to put these recommendations into practice?
We decided to make this practical event, summer school in Ukraine, with volunteers from both sides, from Ukraine and from Romania.
On this project together, we discovered that we actually have other similarities that have to do with traditional social practices in our societies. And we discovered that the Ukrainian toloka, that is now a concept that is being very much used and revived in the context of safeguarding Ukrainian society, but also helping rebuild areas that have been damaged by war and rebuild communities that have been affected by war. This practice of toloka has a counterpart in Romania. We call it clacă. It's more or less the same type of social model, where people gather forces for working together in the benefit of other people from the community and to the common good.
Let's take a closer look at the place that hosted this toloka-like event, the summer school at Rozdil Palace. What kind of site is this?
Rozdil Palace is a set of historical buildings, including Palace, which is 3,400 square meters, and 8 more buildings in emergency state. The Palace and other buildings are located on the territory of a municipal park, a historical park, which is a monument of landscape art, and also has more than 300 years of age.
How was the working process organized during the summer school, and which participants were involved?
The volunteers, the Ukrainian volunteers, we thought at the beginning to have 2 groups, one group 1 week, and then for the second week another group. But the volunteers signed from starts for completely 2 weeks, so we have just one group, very enthusiastic group, very nice people, young people, students, who had a very great experience. For me, was also a great experience to meet them all.
During those 2 weeks, we as Rozdil provided the materials, the wood, provided help of our employees, and all this team in 2 weeks, they totally made the capital repair of the roof, put temporary cover, clean everything, painted everything, and now it's free event space for all the community. And very often, and on the walls, there are pictures of all the process of new history of the Rozdil Palace project with different programs, volunteer things, social things, whatsoever. And almost every week, this place, no matter there's no heat, no water, no sewage, it's like, but there are walls and the roof and the nice interior. This premise is like, I think, nearly 900 square meters, 90 square meters or 100 square meters. It becomes a place for exhibitions, lectures, professional conferences, book presentations. So this premise lives.
What should be given particular attention when restoring historic monuments?
What we also pointed out was the importance of the local knowledge. I mentioned, the craftspeople, but it's not only the specialized knowledge in the field of construction, but it's generally the local knowledge as a resource and also as an area of expertise that has to be brought in alongside the professional expertise.
When you go on a site, you assess the specific of the site. You also try to understand and recognize on the material that you find inside how they were put it there, what kind of tools they use, what kind of materials they use, and then when you make an intervention, you adapt this intervention to the local finding. This was our lesson. We invite also craftsmen in the team from Ambulance of Heritage brought tools and craftsmen to teach and make a demonstration to the students how we can work, and we work here in Romania repairing roofs and put it in conservation different heritage.
So we were the witnesses of how to make the beautiful handmade carving and renovation of this beautiful wooden terrace with ornaments and beautiful one from just cut wood.
What can be considered the main outcome of this practice?
In my opinion, the bigger result was the education. You asked previously the question about the workforce. In Ukraine, we strongly lack qualified workforce for cultural heritage sites, practical workforce. And I'm happy that thanks to this workshop, at least, I think 25 from universities and more than 20 from local community people, they received real practical skills of how to restore wood, brick, metal, stone on cultural heritage sites, and they use it now.
So, what are the future plans for Rozdil Palace?
We still are in contact to see if there are other possibilities to continue this kind of summer school and to continue to share experience between volunteers, Romanian and Ukrainian volunteers. We didn't find yet common funding to support this idea, but we still want to do it. And after that, I saw they already use the spaces that we clean, and they use this workshop as a starting point for the conservation program and project they do for the entire area.
We deeply care about the future of Rozdil Palace and about expanding participatory heritage restoration practices in Ukraine. Although this work requires effort on many levels, from adapting legislation and securing funding to activating local communities, engagement makes the process meaningful for everybody involved. In the next episode, we will talk about how approaches to heritage restoration are being integrated into educational programs.